Very good. Thank you. So this third paragraph simply says the same thing, um, but expressed in a positive rather than a negative way. So I'll read it out. And again, those of you who feel inclined, try to follow it just by the spoken word rather than looking at the text. Just checking that Simon's dog is fully comfortable on the sofa. Yeah, there he is. So, tihi bhikkhave angehi. Tihi bhikkhave angehi samanagato papaniko bhabbo anadhikatam va bhogam adhigantum adhikatam va bhogam bhatin katum katamehi tihi idha bhikkhave papaniko pubbannha samayang sakkacham kammantang adhittati majhanika samayam sakkacham kammantang adhittati sayanha samayang sakkacham kammantang adhittati imehi ko bhikkhave tihi angehi samannagato papaniko bhabbo anadhikatam va bhogam adhigantum adhikatam va bhogam bhatin katum. So all of that should have been fully transparent to you because effectively it's the same words, but now being expressed in a positive sense rather than negative sense. So tihi bhikkhave angehi samanagato. Okay, Anne, could you just pause up to let me just get just that passage there that I've highlighted in yellow. Could you just analyze it?
Do you mean the words?
Yeah. Okay. So first of all,
Tihi 3.
Hmm?
Do you mean the
Okay.
the meanings?
Okay, sorry, I should give you more of an example of what I meant. So I would be explaining it, samanagato, okay, endowed with, possessed of, which then takes the instrumental, therefore tihi instrumental of three, angehi instrumental plural of anga. So samanagato tihi angehi. So endowed with three parts, characteristics, qualities. So I'm using you as a pure guinea pig, Anne. I haven't actually done it this way before, I don't think.
So it's basically the case of the word.
Yeah, the case
Like, so
and the
if it's
meaning
with,
and what? Yes, exactly.
oh, so bhikkhave would be the vocative,
Indeed.
plural, and there's what three? Attributes.
Oh, you talk about angehi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Papanicus are correct so far. So endowed with these three attributes, O monks.
Mm-hmm.
We go on to Papanico.
That's the merchant.
Mm-hmm.
Babho. Babo would be, it's not ababo, so it's babo, acquire, ability to acquire,
Well, so on its own, it just means capable of.
capable of.
Yeah, it's the word for which we kind of invented the word beable. So beable means something that can exist, possible, and also it can mean capable of doing something. So here it means capable of.
Of acquiring. Accusative.
So which word are you looking at? Are you looking at the
Anadigatam,
yes.
nagitam, va, bogam, va. So, or either bogam would also be uh, wealth, bogam adigantam, capable of acquiring wealth.
Okay, capable of acquiring wealth, exactly, but specifically anadhigatam bhogam. What would be anadhigata?
Anadigatam.
So adhigantum, infinitive, means to acquire,
yeah.
and
Okay,
and
so,
of which the past participle is adhigata, but this is anadhigata.
mm-hmm. Capable of acquiring adigatam, wealth.
So what would the force of what does adhigata mean? It's the past participle.
Unattained, unattainable.
No, so adhigata is got, already got, is attained,
already acquired.
Acquired. And so anadhigata means unacquired,
unacquired,
in the sense of not yet acquired. So babbo, put in an English order, babbo adhigantum is capable of acquiring or accumulating anadhigatang bhogam, unacquired wealth. He is capable of getting wealth. On what he's already got, the not yet acquired wealth.
So it's the positive expression. Being able to rather than not being able to.
Exactly. So endowed with these three angehi characteristics or qualities. So if he does have these three qualities, then he is capable of adhigantum, acquiring, anadhigatam bhogam, not acquired or not yet acquired wealth. And equally, adhigatam vabhogam patinkatum, or both of acquiring unacquired wealth, and adhigatam vabhogam patinkatum, growing his already acquired wealth. So patinkatum, fattening.
The merchants, what the merchants can get.
So it's earning what he hasn't yet earned, and growing the wealth that he already has earned.
With three attributes.
Exactly so. Now remember this word angehi, stem form anga. It originally meant it's not just like a part, and a part of something, or a member, as in a member of the body, as in your limbs. And any constituent part of something. Remember, the word for the Noble Eightfold Path is the Atangiko Maggo, the Atta Angika Magga. Atta, eight, Anga, constituent, but make that into an adjective. Atangika, the eightfold, consisting of eight Angas, of eight constituent parts. So that's how we get the Atangiko Maggo, the eightfold path. So
But I'm
um,
just going to say, Gehi in this form, in this context, uh, would be kind of an attribute because the inattentiveness is what causes them not to acquire their wholesome state.
mhm.
So that would be a state of mind rather than a part. It would be more like a characteristic of the mind. So if they do it in a positive way, three states of three attentiveness at three times in the day,
Exactly so,
then
yes.
they can get their wealth, they can grow
Mm,
their
yeah.
wholesome states.
Mm. Exactly so. And of course, that three times of the day, they are not just brief times. The morning, the forenoon, the middle part of the day, and the so in other words, it's got to be at it the
And at the close
whole
of the
damn
day.
time. You see, so it is the message from the moment you get up until the moment you go to bed. Um,
Sorry for the massacre.
so, by the way, in this text, I've just left in the be there. Um, it's what you very frequently see in these Pali texts. It just means that you repeat the words that have been left out. I mean, they're meant to be there. It's just for the sake of convenience. You'll refer back to the same phrase. This pe is the Pali word, or the abbreviated form of the Pali word peyala, which is a corruption of the Sanskrit pariyaya. So pariyaya means going around. In other words, means like you going around in the sense of a repeat of something. So repeat those words. Um, there was every justification for doing that, for not repeating those words in full, just leaving it as a Bayala and three dots. There was every justification a very, very long time ago when this all had to be laboriously written out by hand, every single copy. Um, and when the writing materials actually may not have been abundant either. So it was a legitimate means of saving time and saving scarce materials. Um, I suppose you might say there's some kind of justification for it in printed books, to keep down the number of pages in the printed book. But now that we're into the age of electronic texts, um, you still see many, indeed most electronic texts using this be here. And it's down again here. However, the one important thing to note is that when the suttas are being recited, you never just say be and skip it. You always recite the entire thing in full. This is purely a device to save time and materials to the poor old monks who back in the old days had to write everything out by hand. Um, at a very early stage, I had thought that they would skip it like that when they were reciting among the monks, say in the monastery, reciting a sutta. But no, it's always recited in full. So the next is: do I have any volunteers to do a similar parsing of the next one now highlighted? Do I see any glimmers? Somebody who secretly wants to do it, but just as a
Simon.
I'll
I?
try.
Okay, Francis.
I'll try.
Wonderful. Please have a go. I just
Um,
so it's that second part now. Let me just unhighlight the first part. So it's that part in highlighted yellow.
um, so by what three? Um, Patamehiti here because the a merchant um, in the morning, the first, trying to think, um, in the morning,
Hmm.
um,
Sure, what I can do, I can just put dashes in here to separate the Bubenha somehow. Okay, yes, so please carry on, Francis.
attends um, attends properly to the business or attends to proper business. Is that
I'm almost certain this is an adverb, so it means he
right?
properly
Okay.
attends to it. He gives
It's
it
when
his real,
right,
he properly attends. Yeah.
right. Okay. And in the middle time period, he he properly attends to his business. And in the evening time period, he 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 properly attends to his business. He attends properly to his business.
Good. Yes. So, Francis, can you analyze the epitati?
Um, well, it's the for a second, third person singular,
Hmm.
and it's from Aditana or related to Aditana.
Exactly so, yeah.
Yes.
Hmm. So if
Uh,
you, yeah, if you were citing it in root form, you would just write as adita. And from
right.
the
Okay.
adjective, then you make the verbal noun as you, sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
the verbal noun as you rightly said, aditana, but then third person singular verb becomes aditati. Correct, exactly so. Thank you, Francis. Um, so the, oops, sorry, here we are. Am I going to have to select a volunteer? If there no hand goes up within 3 seconds, I will select. Sarah, would you like to have a go?
I don't know actually. I mean, Bickerway is definitely the vocative of monks. Um,
So if you look at imehi, you've got tihi by these three, imehi tihi by these three.
right.
So let's take it word by word. So samanagato,
Let me have a look. So that's endowed.
yeah. So in endowment, actually, we've used the word endowed with, but that suggests you're endowed with wealth, or there's an endowment fund. But it can just mean possessed of or in possession of things that you've got. Yeah. But anyway, let's say endowed for these purposes, correct?
And then the Parpanico is the merchant in the
Mhm.
nominative.
Yes, yeah.
Um, Barbo is capable.
Hmm.
And, oh,
So capable of doing what? And double highlight.
acquiring.
Yeah,
Is
I
it
think.
acquiring? Is it unacquired?
Exactly so it is.
Uh, wealth, right? Acquiring
Yeah.
unacquired wealth.
Yeah. In fact, the word bruga, it's from the root bruj, meaning the original meaning is to enjoy, and it's also the bhojana also means kind of eating, because in theory, or mostly I suppose, you enjoy what you eat. So and this has a specialized meaning of it. So bhoga means its broad general meaning is wealth, but it's sorry. Broad general meaning is enjoyment, and the more specialized meaning is wealth.
Right. And that's in the accusative.
This is in the accusative. So
and then the other one is about fattening already acquired wealth, is it?
Exactly so. So can you just explain the word adhigatam there?
So that's acquired. Acquired wealth.
Yeah, but just kind of break the word down a bit. What root? What's the root? The monosyllabic root of that word?
So gatam must be sort of got. So is it already got?
Okay, so actually, if you break it down to its root, the root is actually gam, G-A-M. In the past participle, if it were regular, you just add ta to the root, so it would be ganta. But it's slightly irregular because the M drops out and becomes a gata. It's like han, to kill. The past participle is hata. So gata on its own means gone, as in tathagata.
Oh, yeah.
So gam on its own, to go, is an intransitive verb, you just go. But with the prefix adhi, it makes it into a transitive verb, to go onto or to go up to, which then has the extended meaning. Now, as the normal meaning is to get or to acquire. So you've got the he acquires, he, she, or it acquires would be adhigachati, and the past participle adhigata, acquired, something that has been acquired. By the way, this there are two irregularities with this root gum. One is a slight irregularity. It's the loss of the nasal in the past participle, which is why you say gata, not ganta. And the other one is that in the present stem, I go is not gamami, as we all know. It is
Gachami.
gachami. So the answer is, why is there that double ch instead of a m? The answer is, it's an irregular verb. It is just an irregularity. You would expect it to be gamami, but why is it? Well, why is any verb irregular? It's just arises out of the
They're the ones we use the most, aren't they? Like to be and.
Exactly so. I mean, you're right there. It's the most commonly used words tend to be the irregular ones, especially in verbs. But why it has gone from m to ch, I can offer no opinion. Has anyone got any idea why m has become a ch? I've no idea at all. This ending tum, in fact, we're coming to this when we get onto the grammar for this section. This is the infinitive ending, to acquire, to get. So you'll see that these infinitives typically end in tum. And note that for the infinitive, the nasal remains. It's not gatum, but gantum. So that is regular there. By the way, it would be, originally it was a gum. Let me put in the M. Originally it was a gum, a tigum, but the M automatically changes to an N before the T, which is normal, for much easier to say gantum than gumtum. Okay, thank you, Sarah. So we'll now, thank you, well done. We just now move on to the last one, which is
James,
Simon.
sorry, I might be lost where we are, but if you got a typo in there, final paragraph in the second line,
So in this paragraph where the highlighting is,
the one below that,
mhm.
final paragraph on that page, where you've got
Oh,
anadigantung, shouldn't that be adigantung?
it should be. I almost said I put it in deliberately to see who would spot it, but I didn't. I made a mistake. Thank you, Simon. So it's the anatigatum. Okay, there. Well, that is absolutely correct. That was a straight error. Thank you. So I'll just read it out slowly here. Evameva ko bhikkhave tihi dhammehi samannagato bhikkhu bhabbo anadhigatam va kusalan dhammang adhigantum adhigatam va kusalan dhammang bhating katung gatamehi tihi idha bhikkhave bhikkhu pubbannha samayang sakkachang samadhi nimittang aditthati Majhandhika samayam sakkacham samadhi nimittam aditthati sayan samayam sakkacham samadhi nimittam aditthati imehi ko bhikkave tihi dhammehi samanagato bhikkhu bhabbo anadhigatam va kusalam dhammang adhigantum adhigatam va kusalam dhammang bhating katunti. And this T at the very end, as you know, it mostly just means unquote, where you're quoting what somebody has says, then T, end of quote. But very frequently used at the end of a passage that you're reciting, means here ends the recitation of the words that I am reciting. So it doesn't have any grammatical significance for the meaning, it's just an end of quote marker. Just as a matter of interest, Sri Animala, the passage that you read out for us.
Yeah, it's in Sinhala.
I've put it here in Sinhala script for you. As a matter of interest, is it easier for you to read it to recite it out loud in the Sinhala script?
Yeah, it's nice.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to pause you for a moment there. I want you to read slowly and very clearly, because here we have the advantage of a native Sinhala speaker. And as we know, with the Sinhala influence and input in Theravada Buddhism, you can listen to Sri Animala as the authentic way it's coming out. So please proceed, Sri Animala, nice and slowly and clearly, so that we can all benefit from it. Sorry.
Katamehitihi ida hikave bhikkhu pubban asamayang sakkancha samadhi nimittang adittati majja hikka samayang sakkancha samadhi nitta adittati.
Wonderful. You see, that came out much easier than from the Roman script. To be fair to you, Sri Animala, in future when I ask you to recite something, I'll put it up in the Sinhala script for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Incidentally, I don't know whether all of you have discovered this. There is, let me call it up for you. It's a feature called, it's a program called Lexilogos. And you can input in the Roman script. So what I did, for example, you can see here I'm highlighting a bit of text in Roman. Take Eva Mevako. Copy. I put copy, Control C. Now I've got this and there we are. Okay, it doesn't take the capital. There's a slight bit of tweaking that you've got to do. So that has put it into the Devanagari script. Now you can change keyboard to a huge number of scripts. Scroll down and we get to the Sinhala script there, Sinhala. Okay, so I just Control V for paste. There we are. I paste in the Roman script into this copying pane. What I'll do actually in the group email, I'll give you a link for any of you who want to do the other scripts. And for example, it can if you wanted to do it in Thai, you see. There we are. Same text. Bang. There we go. Paste it into the keyboard for Thai, and out it comes in Thai. I mostly use this for the Sanskrit teaching using the Devanagari script. Once you get the hang of it, so easy to use, and it's a free app. I mean, you just log in. There you are. It's entirely available. So I say I'll mention this and give you the link to it in my group email that goes out after this. So the moment comes when we have to do we didn't. Did we finish this? Okay, I'll just read through this last paragraph then. Evamev bhikkhave tihi dhammehi samanagato bhikkhu bhavvo anadhigatam va kusalam dhammang adhigantum adhigatam va kusalam dhammang bhating gatum katamehi tihi idha bhikkhave bhikkhu Pubbanha samayang sakachang samadhi nimittang adhitthati majhanhika samayang sakachang samadhi nimittang adhitthati. That was repeating the pay, of course, in full. And sayanha samayang sakachang samadhi nimittang adhitthati. Imehi ko bhikkhave tihi dhammehi samanagato Bhikkhu bhavvo anadhigatam va kusalam dhamman adhigantum adhigatam va kusalam dhammang bhating katunti. So there should have been no difficulty of understanding that, because basically it's a repeat of the entire same context, but now all in positive terms. So I almost feel guilty saying it. We've got to do a bit of grammar now to fulfill the lessons that we're doing. But before we go on, were there any queries arising out of the passage that we've just done? Simon.
Can I just ask about evam eva? Is that in effect, does evam come from the same place as eva in the sense of, it is really so it's like a repetition, or is it a completely separate term?
Okay, I'm actually going to separate those words here. It is a completely separate term. I remember I've had to deal with this query some time ago. Evam and Eva, identical here in Sanskrit and Pali, they are two entirely different words with entirely different meanings. The fact that they appear here in conjunction looks like a repetition of a word, but it's not. They are two entirely separate words. Evam, the simpler of the two words, simply means thus, in this way. Eva is an emphatic word. It can often mean kind of only or just that, exactly that. It emphasizes that and nothing else.
You can see why they look the same, not just in terms of the structure, but to say thus,
Yeah.
say like so it is. It is like that.
I entirely take your point, and I had fallen into the same trap, and I advisedly call it a trap, at a much earlier stage in my language learning. Life became much easier when I realized these are two totally separate words used differently with different meanings. So, evam, so, eva, just exactly, evam, eva, exactly so, just in that way. So I hope I've persuaded you all. There's no connection at all, certainly none that I've been able to discover in all these years between those two words. The superficial similarity is just a little bit misleading. They really are different words with different meanings.
And what does the co mean?
Co, co, it's what linguists call a modal. It doesn't actually mean anything on its own. It adds like a hey ho verily, like verily means just it doesn't on it verily means truthfully, but it can be used as a modal certainly in older English to emphasize what you're saying. For example. Ko actually has a dignified status in Pali because it was the second word or the second human word that the Buddha heard after his enlightenment. You remember, after he was enlightened, he went to look for his 5 friends after he realized that his 2 teachers, Uddaka Ramaputta and Alara Kalama, had died, and said, "Oh, let me go and tell my 5 old mates, you see, the Panchavagya, the gang of 5. And while on his way, you remember he met Upaka, the other kind of wandering mendicant, Upaka. So Upaka was the first person, the first human. He spoke to devas, but Upaka was the first human he met after his enlightenment. And what Upaka said was, Vipassanani te avuso indriyani. So indriyani, te indriyani, your faculties, your senses are vipassanani. In other words, purified, clear, and bright. So vipassanani ko te avuso. So the ko there is just a modal that's inserted for emphasis, as if he were kind of almost shocked and dazzled by the vipassanani ko. I would even go as far as to say as vipassanani. So it's one of those modals that doesn't have an exact translation. It's just something that gets put in. Sometimes, mostly, you can just omit it without any change in the meaning. So.
You have to go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Francis. Sorry to see you go. See you again.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. So before we move on, then, any further questions on this? And then we can do a little bit of grammar. Right, so on the grammar, I'm looking at our Geren Karunatilaka textbook. We'd reached halfway down page 19. And were...
Sir, can I go now? Because now it's 7 o'clock for me.
So I'm sorry, Srinamala, say again, I didn't catch.
It's for me 7 o'clock. Can I go now?
Oh, you need to leave at 7. Of course, yes. Anyone
Yeah.
who needs to leave, of course.
Yeah, I have
Sorry
to go
to
and
see you go,
water
but...
my plants. I have to go and water my plants.
Okay, right then, Srinamala. See you,
Okay,
see you next
see you
time,
tomorrow.
hopefully.
See you
Okay,
tomorrow.
bye then. Bye. So, dealing with the complexities of pronouns, if anybody complains to you about their wrong pronouns being used, just refer them to this page of Ger and Karunatilake. Said if you have a problem with the pronouns I'm using for you, you just try the pronouns in Pali. So, very broadly speaking, there are little quirks and tweaks along the way, but very broadly speaking, you will see you'll see the same endings in these pronouns as you see in the regular in the ordinary nouns. It's when you are studying these tables of other declensions and pronouns, then you will realize the benefit that I feel confident all of you already have by a thorough mastery of the standard table of the simplest form of the noun, which is the one on page 5, where the paradigm Dhamma is given, and the Dhamma then is declined in all its 8 cases and its two numbers. If those are thoroughly in your mind, hold these in your mind as you look at the declension of the pronouns, and you will see that to a very large extent, the endings of the standard declension are reflected elsewhere, very largely elsewhere throughout all of the other declensions. So in the third person singular pronoun, he, she, or it, it's only in the masculine nominative singular that it begins with an S. All of the other forms, and the feminine nominative singular sa as well. So the masculine is so or sa. No difference of meaning there. And the feminine sa, she. All of the other forms begin with a T. But having said that, look then at the accusative, the tung. You see, well, that has the same as the accusative ending dhammang, the accusative singular. The tassa, notice that reflects the genitive dhammassa. Tena, you'll recognize the instrumental dhammena. Also tamha or tasma. You'll see you have dhammasma and dhammamha. And tamhi, tasming, you find the alternative forms of locative dhammasming, dhammamhi. So the feminine, indeed, just the neuter tam or tad. feminine sa and tang. Incidentally, in Sanskrit, for the accusative him and accusative her, it's respectively tam and tam. It's just that Pali can't have a long arm, so it's shortened to So tam tam, although they're distinguished, him and her are distinguished in Sanskrit, they're not distinguished in Pali. For the dative, instrumental, genitive and dative, tassa or tissa or tassaya, tissaya. Again, if you want to learn all these by heart, fantastic. But the most important thing is just to recognize them when you see them. And if you spot something that looks like a declined form of a pronoun, just know where to go to find it. And the locative feminine, inconveniently, you have 4 forms: tasam, tayam, tissam, tassam. Tasam is probably by far the most common, but we will find all of these 4 forms. Going to the plural at the top of page 20. One particular thing to note, if you go back to the table on page 5, declension of Dhamma, and look to the plural, but just halfway down page 5, nominative plural Dhamma, accusative plural Dhamme. Notice in particular that for all of these pronouns, the masculine plural ends in, nominative masculine plural ends in a, not a. So the nominative and the accusative are not distinguished in the pronouns, in the masculine plural of the pronouns. There are several adjectives, which are called the pronominal adjectives, which decline like the pronouns. So, Sabbha is one of them. So all Buddhas is Sabbha in the nominative. All Buddhas in the accusative would be Sabbe Buddhe. In the nominative, Sabbe Buddha. So it's a mistake to say Sabba Buddha. If you talk about male Buddhas, it would be a mistake to say Sabba Buddha. However, you were talking about female Buddhas, then all the Buddhas, Sabba Buddha would mean all but specifically feminine, all female Buddhas, Sabba Buddha. So you see that in the table, that's the top of page 20, where the feminine plural, nominative and accusative is either ta or tayo. You'll find both, and there's no difference of meaning. Look at the neuter there, tani, and you'll recognize our common neuter plural form, the ani form. For the genitive and dative, you find an inserted s there. It's tesam. It's not tanam, which it would be if it declined like dhamma. Remember, dhamma, genitive plural, dhammanang. But in the pronominal form, it is tesang or tesanang. More commonly, you'll find tesang. Identical in the feminine, except as long are tasam or tasanang. Instrumental and ablative. Again, they're the same for the feminine, masculine, feminine, except for the characteristic e for them in the masculine form and a in the feminine form, the tehi or tebi. Tehi is more common, and tahi or tabi, again, tahi is more common in the feminine. And similarly for the locative plural, which has its characteristic su ending, tesu and tasu. So in the the Buddha Mangala Gatha on page 9, in which we have the words Imeko Mangala Buddha Sabbe Ida Patitita. The auspicious Buddhas are all arrayed here. Imeko Mangala Buddha Sabbe Ida Patitita. Sometimes those who have the advantage of chanting this with Rob will know that Rob often likes to put in the chant using the female Buddhas instead of male ones. There still has to be a correction made to the text he uses, because when you're chanting about the female Buddhas, if you say Imeko Mangala Buddha Sabbe Ita Pachitita, you've actually got to change that to Imako Mangala Buddha Sabba Ita Pachitita. Because if you use the Sabbe there, Sabbe can refer either to men only or a combination of males and females, as for example in French you'd use the masculine if you talk about males and females, whereas if you talk about females only you would have to use the female form. Similarly, in the line etesam anubhavena sabbasuti bhavantuno, etesam, of these people that we've just been talking about, etesam anubhavena, by the charisma, by the power of these. But if you're talking about females, you have to say etasam anubhavena. So, Marion, if you ask Rob to ping me over his text with the one of the female Buddhas, I'll be able to make the necessary correction in the grammar for him. Happy to do it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Marion. So, looking now at into the middle of page 20, I know this can be a bit boring. We've got to do it. We've got to do it. Again, we see the similar story. Again, you can either learn it by heart or actually possibly even more useful, just recognize the recurring patterns here. So eso, esa, etam, etan, etad, esa, etan, etc. That is actually identical to the so that we've just been looking at the bottom of page 19. It's exactly the same as the so, sa, tam, tad, sa, except there's an a in front of it, which just more specifically means this one. So just means either he or can be used adjectively meaning that, but esa feminine, etan retad neuter means specifically this. For the relative pronoun you or ya, it's virtually identical in its declension to the so and sa, ta, and tam that we've just been looking at, both in singular and plural. Simon.
Yeah, just a good example for the Esa, which is in the chanting Esa Bhagavato Sawaka Sango. Specifically, these are the blessed ones disciples.
Exactly so, yeah, exactly that. Esa, yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean that's the point. It's precisely this that is the precisely the ones that have just been described, just been mentioned. Looking now to the top of page 21, you'll see again this is it? I think it's virtually word for word, just with a y instead of a t. It's the same as the table at the top of page 20.
Is there a reason why they don't give the plural of this?
Esanum, etanum, etanum, esanum, esanum. Actually, is it used? Hang on, you've really stumped me now. Is it used in the plural? It must be used in the plural.
These? Well, you've
Yes.
just had an example.
Which is the example?
Asa.
Ah, no, that was in the singular.
Okay.
Because various types of people were mentioned. So various types of, but then Esa Bhagavato Savaka Sangho. This in the singular is the Savaka Sangho,
Okay.
the Sangha of Savakas. You know, it's slightly embarrassing that you've stumped me here. I'd always assumed it must be used in the plural.
Ete.
Yeah, of course, yes, it is. I think all that's happened, yeah, okay. Sometimes you get that moment of panic, things that you've been familiar with for years. So, my God, have I been making it up all this time? The answer to your question, Sarah, is if you look at that little table in middle of page 20, you will see in the last line of that table, it's just got etc. And that means that it just carries on like that. For the rest of it, follows exactly the sotam and sa and so on.
I
And
see.
dana, but with an a in front of it. So they've just said etc., meaning the same as the previous one, but with an a in front of it. Otherwise, no distinction. Yeah. So te sang. Oh, I've just been talking about it from page 8 of our. So, etesang anubhavena. I'm looking at the page 9 of our chanting book here, the Buddhamangala Gatha. Etesang anubhavena, by the power of these. So you could say tesang anubhavena, by the power of them. Put the a in front of it, etesang anubhavena.
Great,
So,
thank you.
because that was funny, that Sarah. Suddenly you got this question thrown at me. It came from the side, and couldn't see. You had me rattled for a moment. I've now regained my composure. It's fine, Sarah. The pronoun or the pronoun and pronominal adjective for a young imam. I'm looking now at the second table on page 21, which means this. So a young, masculine singular, a young accusative, imam, feminine, the same, a young imam, and the neuter imam or idang. Idang, I think, is more common, but they may be equal. And in the plural, again, note the ime for the masculine plural, but ima or imayo, ima is more common for the feminine plural. And again, going back to the chant on page 9 of our chanting book, ime ko mangala buddha. So these auspicious Buddhas.
James,
Duncan, yes.
This is I think one of the problems is going back to school grammar, because I haven't done grammar since school, so it's an English problem. But what's the difference between the table in the middle of page 20, so etam,
Yes,
and 212, the so-called demonstrative pronouns? When would you use one and when would you use the other?
so which is the 212? Okay, 212 is the Esa, this one in the middle of page 20.
Yeah, so when would you use the 212 table, and when would you use the 214 table, the so-called
214.
demonstrative pronouns?
In reality, I don't think there's much difference. I can't really detect any difference. You can translate both as this and these. Is there really a difference between them? It's probably more common for the table in the middle of page 20, the 212, so ESA, when it's used on its own, he, she, or it, this one, this person, whereas the table at the bottom of page 21 is more when you're expressing what the actual noun is. So ESA, this,
Okay.
but ayang sangho, this sangha, if it's specifically as a noun following it. So esa is more just this used on its own, meaning this person, but ayang and so on with an actual following. That distinction isn't rigid. They can both be used for either, but that's the more common way of seeing it done.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Simon.
I've always thought of it as being so is like he, that. So adds a little bit of extra oomph to it, as in that particular one.
Mm-hmm.
The ayang one is like this one. So because sometimes you get like this and that, like those people do something, but this man, this particular one, is one of the monks or does something different.
Yeah, I mean the ayang is more. Is in a sense it's closer to the speaker, so it's more like saying this rather than that. So I don't think it's a rigid distinction, but I detect that is more how it's used.
Yeah, I think it's more. It tends to be used, I think, when excluding others. So this particular one does this, but everything else may do something different.
Oh, as in the Esa Bhagavato Savaka Sangho.
Or more the ayam is kind of, this particular one, this one and no other, so to speak.
And for example, supposing instead of Esa Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, we had Ayam Bhagavato Savaka Sangho.
I think that I would tend to see that as like this one is, but the other ones that we've just mentioned are not.
That's an interesting point you've made there, Simon. I hadn't actually looked at it in that way.
ESA would be kind of these specific ones which I'm going to set out for you. The 4 pairs, the 8 kinds of noble beings. Whereas ayam would be more kind of all those that we've discussed, this one here. I think that the Buddha often uses it when dealing with like one monk who he singles out. This man has said this.
Okay, right. So I'm speaking to you all as my community of monks, but this fellow here says so and so. Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's right. I'll keep my eyes open when reading to see if I can detect any nuances here. But for example, when in the bit I've just quoted from our Samatha chanting book, page 9, Imeko Mangala Buddha, it wouldn't have shocked me to see, Eteko Mangala Buddha, Imeko Mangala. No, it feels more natural to say Ime. It means these ones that we've just named them all. So Imeko Mangala Buddha, as opposed to Ete. So Ime would be those ones here, those ones we've just mentioned. Ete more those over there. I think the distinction lies more in proximity to the speaker or proximity to what you've just been discussing. So I am more in proximity, either physical proximity or proximity to you, or physical or proximity to what you've just been talking about. So it feels natural to say Imeko Mangala Buddha, these auspicious Buddhas, means the ones that we were currently thinking about and near to us in our mind, we've just named them. Whereas Eteko, those ones over there. So I'll bear in mind what you said, but I think the difference is in the sense of proximity to you. Again, it's not rigid. That's just a slight sense that I get from these words. Good. So we've come to 5:23 already. So we'll wind up in a moment. So what I propose to do is to chant our blessing and we'll go our peaceful ways. Bhavatu Sabbha Mangalang Rakhantu Sabbha Devata Sabbha Buddhanubhavena Sadasuti Bhavantu Te Bhavatu Sabbha Mangalang Rakhantu Sabbha Devata Sabbha Dhammanubhavena Sadasuti Bhavantu Te Bhavatu Sabbha Mangalang Rakhantu Sabbha Devata Sabbha Sanghano Bhavena Sada Suti Bhavantu Te. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, thank you all, and see you next time round. Okay, thank you then.
James.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.